Um, so you guys can see my screen?
Yes, I'm able to see that.
Clear.
Yeah. Okay. So in today's event, we'll be discussing about a journey which a software engineer takes from uh, from graduating from a university and then starting their professional career, what challenges they might face, and how we can actually overcome that. So we will be talking about uh, the journey, which actually most of them are actually related to my observations, and I'll be sharing that with you guys. So let's quickly talk about what we will be discussing in today's event. So first of all, I'll be providing you my brief introduction, when I graduated, and what technologies I've worked on, and which companies I was the part of. Then we'll quickly talk about what are the challenges which are faced by the fresh graduates uh, when they enter into the professional world. So we'll be discussing some of those challenges, and how we can actually overcome those challenges, right? Then I'll be sharing some of my experiences and lessons learned over the course of my career. So they might even align with what some of you are observing or facing. So you might get an answers to some of those questions. Um, then I'll talk about what technologies I've been working on, and specifically what technologies are covered within IBM middleware ecosystem. Then we'll have a very short demo where we will develop a REST-based web service using one of the technology from the IBM middleware. Then we'll have this Q&A session. Okay, so this is my brief introduction. So I graduated from Ghulam Shah Khan Institute of Engineering Technology. It's one of the prestigious universities of Pakistan, and I was graduated in the year 2010. Since then, I've been working in the software industry over the past 12 years, and I have, and mainly my area of expertise, which eventually turned into towards the integration. So I'll talk about what integration is, and what aspects are being covered as part of the integration. I'm mainly working in the capacity of a team lead, managing a team of around 20 people. And also I'm playing the role of an integration solution architect, where I'll involve with different companies, understanding their requirements, and providing them the solution based on their problems, and the integration challenges which they are facing. Mainly my work of experience revolved around these financial institution, government, and then some retail industries. And I've worked with multiple clients, both domestic within Pakistan, and international, which cover the clients from UAE, USA. Unfortunately, I might not be able to reveal the names of the client due to a non-disclosure agreement. And I apologize for that. I actually wanted to cover that, but I didn't get the necessary permission to share those details with you guys. And besides that, I love playing video games, and recently I've developed this interest in learning more about what are the leadership qualities. So what it takes to be a leader. So I'm actually interested in this topic, and I've been extensively reading different articles and for this. I'll be now talking about what challenges are faced by the fresh graduates, and I'll be sharing one of my few of my experiences, and some stories. Um, So when we are a fresh graduate, so what do you guys think? What's the biggest challenge, or what's the biggest uh, idea the fresh graduates have in their mind when they start looking for the jobs? And even if they find one, uh, uh, how they can actually excel and progress within their area of expertise, or actually pursue their area of expertise, right? Um, so in my opinion, the first thing which most of the fresh graduates lack is they don't know where and how to start. They have this big dream of making an impact on the world. We all do have. But the problem with that is if you don't know what you want to do and what you want to achieve, it becomes really difficult. You can get lost in many different aspects, right? um, you might follow what a company might be proposing you, but that doesn't necessarily align with your objectives and what you want to achieve. So I've seen these in my era, in my journey. There are a lot of fresh graduates which join with a lot of enthusiasm, and they are willing to do good things. But unfortunately, they do not have that direction. First of all, some of them don't even know what they wanted to do, or if they do, the company they join might not support them in achieving uh, those the vision and direction. So I think the first important thing which a fresh graduate or even the experienced resource should have is a vision and a direction. What I want to achieve and what I want to do uh, as a software engineer, or that actually applies to any profession, right? Not necessarily uh, within software industry. So how actually we can achieve this vision and direction, right? Um, so first of all, what I would suggest you guys do is find a mentor. It's really important to have a mentor which actually understands what you want to achieve, and your mindset, your thinking, your thought process, right? And that mentor doesn't necessarily have to be within the same company, or if you are part of the some educational institute, that person doesn't necessarily needs to be part of uh, that educational institute, right? uh, but it really helps if that person has a deep understanding uh, of the industry in which you're working, right? So that really helps. So first of all, I would like you all to find that mentor. And that mentor, if that mentor is uh, uh, is part of that same company, that's great. And if not, then it doesn't necessarily have to be. So you all you have to do is to find that mentor, so he can actually guide you and provide you the guidance and help you in the situation where you feel yourself trapped, right? um, so I've already said that that mentor doesn't necessarily have to be part of that same organization for which you are working on, but he should have understanding of the industry, and it's good to if that person is part of that industry. Okay. I'm not sure why I missed that. So unfortunately, I think I've missed this thing, but I wanted to talk about this. It's very important actually. So what I've observed is that many people start their career. Uh, they do not really know what they want to do, or even if they are doing something, they they are just doing it, and not really enjoying the work which they are doing, right? So this is really important. So I would like to quote Simon Sinek. I've been following him, and I recommend you all, if you want to follow a person who's a motivational speaker, and you want to find that spark. Uh, I highly recommend his speeches. So according to him, uh, working hard for something we don't care about is called stress, and working hard for something we love is called passion, right? So I want you all to just first of all find that passion for your work, what you really enjoy and what you really want to do as a human and as a professional, right? So this is really important actually. So what I've found is, even myself, I've been for the past 8 to 10 years, I've been just doing things, not really enjoying the work, and I wasn't really feeling uh, getting that satisfaction out of my work. So this is, I think, very important, and uh, the early you find your passion for work, and it will really help you excel in your profession and create a credibility within your company and as well as within your social network. Another thing which I'm not sure. So are you guys seeing this panel? Not sure why it is showing. Tends to. Okay, so let's leave it. So the next thing I would like to talk about is the teamwork. So what I've observed is that many people are really good at when they're doing things independently, but when it comes to collaborate with the team members uh, and and work in sync, so it becomes really difficult, right? So sometimes I'm not saying that you will find all the people which will work under the same capacity on, or they will have that same capabilities as you have. So sometimes you have to move the bar up in order to meet the expectation of your team members, and sometimes you have to lower that bar as well. So it doesn't have to be one size fit all, right? And you have to really kind of adjust yourself uh, to be a team player. So this is something which I have observed a lot of people are actually lacking, right? Especially at the start of their career. So I mean, if you guys have any questions, so feel free to ask them uh, during the session, and if not, then we'll have that Q&A session at the end of at the end. Okay. So I've been talking about more in terms of uh, uh, non-technical aspects. So now let's talk more uh, about the technical the capabilities or the tools which a software engineer should be familiar. Right. So first of all, I think whenever you give an interview, the first thing I would highly recommend is always have your basics right. Right. So if your foundation is not strong and uh, it's lacking the required capabilities or the understanding, so you cannot really build an empire on top of it, right? And it will eventually fall. So first of all, you should have a thorough understanding of the data structures and algorithm, and if you interview, if you approach any organization, especially within the software industry, you will be asked questions regarding data structures and algorithms. So that doesn't mean you start learning those algorithms. You should have the thorough understanding, right? According to Albert Einstein, it's the learning is the training of the mind, not learning of the facts, right? Everybody knows those facts, and we can always refer to those facts in the books. What's important is you have that mindset to actually understand the logic, the rationale behind those algorithms, and then where it makes more sense to use that particular data structure or algorithm, right? And if you try to fit that thing in a situation where it doesn't make sense, you will eventually be wasting your time during an interview, and every second is really important during an interview. Another thing is you should have the thorough understanding of object-oriented programming. You might not really be using that more frequently, but I highly recommend to have a solid understanding of object-oriented programming concepts, what inheritance is, right? What polymorphism is. So you have those concepts crystal clear in your mind. Otherwise, so if you want to understand design patterns, that's the next step, right? So first you learn. So as children, what we do is what we have been taught is, first of all, we learn to write the alphabets, right? Once we are familiar with those alphabets, we then move to we are now introduced towards the words, which is the combination of the letters. And then once we are familiar with those words, then we start using those words and start writing the sentences, right? So this is a journey, right? So you have to have a solid understanding uh, of the alphabets in order to learn the words and understand the words, their meaning. And then once you have the understanding of the words, only then you will be able to write those sentences, right? uh, so same is the case within the software industry. So you should have those solid understanding of the basics and the core concepts. Only then you can actually move to the next stage. So in case of this object-oriented programming, if you want to learn the design patterns, you cannot really understand the design patterns. You can memorize them, but you will not be able to grasp the idea, right? And when to really use those design patterns in your solutions. Another thing is you should have solid understanding of the databases. I think the point where I'm emphasizing these technologies is because you will be asked in an interview, or almost in every interview, all these concepts, right? Uh, Although you might not be working on the databases, if you move on to your professional career, there will be a separate teams which might be working on the database optimizations and all that stuff. But it really helps to have those basic understanding so that you can actually communicate with those teams, right? uh, so once we have those basic concepts and understanding of those concepts, then we should move ahead and have the understanding of what's the current trends within the software industry, right? So whenever you join any company, you will be working in the teams, and that those teams will be using some tools and technologies which they have either already adopted and they have been using it, or they might be in the process of actually finalizing which tools really make sense uh, for their project or solution, right? So the most important thing which I want you to understand and develop the understanding is version control. That's really important. So we no longer work in the dark ages where people used to do all those things manually, right? It's too much, and you have to focus on the business and the core technologies rather than the nitty-gritty details and the plumbing work, right? So there are already tools which are available, and you should use them. right? And the most important tool which I want you to make an understanding of is Git. So version control is, it's really important, and almost all 99% of the organization will be using the version control to manage their code base. And then you so Git is a technology uh, which was developed by Linus Torvalds. So how many of you actually knows the background of the Git? Does anybody knows about it? Who developed this Git?
Linus Torvald was the
Yes,
person who
yes,
made Linux.
yes. So how many of you knows Linus Torvalds, and whatever, I mean, how you pronounce it differently in different regions. So Linus Torvalds, he's the mastermind behind this Git, and also the mastermind behind the Linux kernel. So he's a very strong person within the software industry. He has a lot of contributions, and he was actually working on one of the solutions, and he was using the version control which was developed by some other organizations, right? They were managed softwares. Then he came across certain problems, and he requested that company to incorporate uh, those ideas or features within as part of their product, and they actually refused it. So what he did is he discarded that entire product which he was using, and he developed and built his own tool for managing the code base. So we have people like such a mindset, and it's really amazing, and we should uh, uh, make them as our inspirational thing. So the next thing which a lot of people confuses is what's the difference between a Git and a GitHub or Bitbucket. So there are a lot of different platforms which provides so Git is your underlying technology, right? And the platforms which supports Git, one of them is GitHub, right? So these are widely used, and you should get yourself familiar with. So that's again really important to showcase your portfolio, right? So how you can really present yourself. So another problem which fresh graduates face is that they do not know how to present their work, right? Um, so this is one of the tool which can help you, right? So you can actually maintain your repositories where you can showcase your areas of the expertise or areas of your interest, and you can actually share it with the community so that they can know uh, that you are actually have the understanding and expertise within this particular technology. So next thing is, so world is actually moving towards automation. So when I joined my first company, what I've observed that they were using uh, the Eclipse for their development perspective, Java and Eclipse, and they were tied to that. Their projects were tied to that technology, that tool, Eclipse. But now we are living in a world where we do not want to tie people onto that particular tool, because that can hinder their productivity. Let's assume, so if a person who is comfortable with IntelliJ, and I apologize, I'm giving the examples of the Java world. I'm sorry about that, because my background is Java, so I'll be giving you an example from Java. So if someone is from Microsoft background or some other platform, so they can actually relate what I'm trying, the concept which I'm trying to communicate, right? So there are different build tools which are available. So we must now start adapting those build tools. So one of them is widely used, which are Maven and Gradle. And um, so both of them are being widely used. I personally have much more hands-on experience with Maven. compared to Gradle. But they are both widely used, and I highly recommend you all to actually start exploring them, right? So they will manage your code dependencies, and they will really make your life really easy. Otherwise, it will be a mess managing dependencies, versioning of the code, and all that. It's really difficult, and we really do not want to uh, spend our time in these not so important things, right? And the world is now moving towards the automation, and we no longer want to do unit testing and integration testing of our code which we write manually. We used to do that, and at some cases you have to do that, but that's that's becoming the thing of the past now. And we have different uh, uh, building pipelines which are developed. So whenever you check in your code, there is a process that gets triggered, and it will start executing those test cases which are bind with that code base. And once all the test cases are passed, only then your code gets committed into the repository, right? So this is how people are actually making progress, and really reducing their time to market and develop their solutions. The next thing is what I've observed is that people tends to start learning multiple programming languages. There is nothing wrong with it, provided you have the solid understanding of one of the programming languages. Only then I recommend you to switch that from that programming language into some other programming language, right? For example, if I'm using Java, and if I want to use C sharp, they are very similar. Or C, if you are familiar with C, although it doesn't support the object-oriented programming concepts. Let's take an example of C++, right? So all of these languages are actually inspired with C++. So if you are comfortable with C++, you will find the syntax very familiar and very easy, right? But there are different programming languages. They are somewhat tricky, and they require a different mindset to actually to work with those programming languages, right? Some of them are functional in nature, so you have to have that functional mindset uh, uh, to really work on that. And for example, JavaScript, if you want to do some multi-threading, this JavaScript doesn't support that, right? So each programming language has its own philosophy, and you have to actually understand that philosophy in order to master that programming language, right? So the next thing I think I want to emphasize is the social media. So what I've observed that a lot of people don't know uh, how to brand themselves and how to present themselves to the community. So how would uh, community know there is a person uh, XYZ which has he has worked on, let's assume, uh, some Apache projects. He has contributed to it, although his name will be mentioned on those websites, but people don't have time, and they might not go there and start looking, oh, okay, who are the ones who actually contributed to that project, right? And it's a very rare scenario. So what I want each and every one of you to is actually start working on your personal branding. How you can actually do that, right? So there are a lot of platforms which are available. And one of the most influential one is and widely used among the professional is LinkedIn. So you should have a profile on LinkedIn, and then you add the necessary details within the LinkedIn to provide to tell the world about your expertise and area of the interest, so that people so a lot of job opportunities are available on LinkedIn platform. So you can actually start exploring them, and the first thing the recruiter looks for is your LinkedIn profile. That's your resume, right? So you have to provide a very specific details. Do not write long stories. Be very specific what your areas of expertise are, what you want to achieve in your life, things like that, and what projects you have worked on, what's your role, and what you want to achieve. So there are different company portals which are also available. So if you are part of some organization, each organization has their own company portal where they post. So you can start posting on those company portals and then create your awareness that that person exists, right? So I personally wasn't using the LinkedIn platform, but now I've been really active, and for the last 1 year I've been working very hard and improving my LinkedIn profile. And I highly recommend each and every one of you to actually do that.